Hello, Stephen Dean speaking. And I was sitting here thinking this morning and contemplating on various things when I suddenly remembered a story I heard some time ago. And it's a story of assumption, presumption, and that you should never assume or presume anything. And it goes like this, and apparently this is a true story. There was a Native American Indian who was fighting during World War II. And he was captured and taken to a Nazi concentration camp. While he was there, he witnessed all sorts of atrocities, and something that happened to him there stayed rooted in his mind for a very, very long time. What happened was, in his cell, one of the guards would come in every now and again, or every day actually, and stuff maggots and chicken entrails down the Indian's throat. The Indian who was tied up couldn't do anything about this, and though he gagged and choked on it, all he could do was swallow it. And he hated it. It made him feel so sickened. Anyway, one day the concentration camp was liberated. And he was freed. And as he was marching out of the camp with the soldiers, he looked round and saw that guard thrown up against the wall and shot by a firing squad. When he got back to civilian life, he found he could never forget about that guard. And he couldn't forgive him for stuffing these maggots down his throat. The very thought of it made him sick, and he couldn't sleep at night as the memories and nightmares of it kept coming back. One day he decided to go and see his tribal elders and ask them what to do about this. He told them the story, and they advised him to go and stand in the Great Lake, the sacred Great Lake, and ask the Great Spirit what he should do. Anyway, he went to the lake, and he stood in it, and asked the Great Spirit what he should do. And as he stood there, the ghost of that German guard appeared standing in the lake in front of him. And the Indian was so taken aback, he just looked at him and said, "Why?" And the guard said, "There was nothing to eat in that camp for the prisoners. I know maggots and the entrails are disgusting, but they're pure nutrition. And if I hadn't have done that, you wouldn't have survived." And then he faded away. And the Indian was left staring at thin air. And he stood there staring across the lake until it got too dark to see. The next day he packed up his stuff and began walking back to the city. Only this time his mind was free. And he realised all that time he was torturing himself. Because the real reason the German was doing it was for good. And he had a much sturdier stride and a much happier heart. The moral of the story is never assume or presume anything. Okay, thanks very much. I'll see ya.